when there are more than two mortgages by one the same mortgagor and same mortgagee. Suppose a mortgagor has mortgaged two to three properties on different times to the mortgagee. Whether he is required to redeem all the mortgages simultaneously or separately. Previously, there was a law that whenever the mortgagor was intending to redeem the mortgage property, and if he had mortgage properties, two to three mortgages were there, he was required to redeem all the mortgages simultaneously. But by amendment, this this anomaly or this right of the mortgagee to asking the mortgagor to redeem all the mortgage properties, that is consolidation of all the securities which the mortgagee had obtained in respect of different mortgages, that was abolished. Now by section 61, this provision is that when, but there is a condition that this right can be, this provision can be defeated by an agreement to the contrary between the mortgagor and mortgagee. What it says, a mortgagor who has executed two or more mortgages in favor of the same mortgagee shall, in the absence of a contract to the contrary, if there is no contract to the contrary to the provisions of section 61, if a mortgagor has mortgaged two or more properties to the same mortgagee, when the principal of any two or more of the mortgages has become due, when the principal is due for payment either of one mortgage or either for the entire mortgages, he be entitled to redeem any one of such mortgages separately. So the mortgagor can redeem the mortgage property in respect of any one of the properties separately, or any two or more of such properties together. This option is now with the mortgagor. Previously, the mortgagor was not allowed to exercise this option. If there was mortgages in respect of two to three properties to the same mortgagee, when the mortgage money was due for payment, the mortgagor was not permitted to redeem all the mortgage, though any of the mortgages separately at his option. He was required to redeem all the mortgages simultaneously. But by section 61 now, by amendment, this was changed, and when there are two or three mortgages by a mortgagor in favor of the mortgagee, and in absence of a contract to the contrary, if there is no contract to the contrary to these provisions, then in such case, the mortgagor has a right to redeem any of the mortgages or to redeem all the mortgages simultaneously. This is the provision in section 61. So here, this is a very simple provision. Now section 62. What section 62 says? This is a right of redemption of by a usufructuary mortgage. You are aware that usufructuary mortgage, what is? In the usufructuary mortgage is that mortgage where the mortgagor delivers possession of the mortgage property or binds, or by impliedly or expressly binds to deliver the possession of the mortgage property to the mortgagee with condition that he will retain possession of the mortgage property till the principal money is paid, and to apply the usufruct of the property either towards the interest or partly towards the principal and the interest. And such a mortgage is called usufructuary mortgage. So here, in case of usufructuary mortgage, very moment the mortgage money is deposited, mortgage money is paid to the mortgagee is bound to redeliver possession of the mortgage property to the mortgagor. So here, if this provision is available, section 62 says, in the case of a usufructuary mortgage, the mortgagor has a right to recover possession of the property together with the mortgage deed. In case of usurpated mortgage, the mortgagor has a right to what? Recover possession, because possession is always given to the mortgagee in case of usurpated mortgage. That's, in case of usurpated mortgage, the mortgagor has a right to recover possession of the mortgage property together with the document, mortgage deed, and all documents relating to the mortgage property which are in the possession of the power of the mortgagee, when where the mortgagee is authorized to pay himself the mortgage money from the rents and profits of the property when such money is paid. Suppose in case in a particular usurpated mortgage, there is a condition that the profit or rate derived from the property will be utilized, will be adjusted towards the principal money. When the entire principal money is paid, is adjusted, then the mortgagor has a right to get recovery of possession of the mortgage property from the mortgagee, and also to get back the documents of the mortgage from him. Then in second contingent, when suppose there is a condition that the out of the usufruct that will be paid towards interest and partly towards the principal money. So in such case, if any balance principal money is there, even the mortgagor can get back the mortgage property, get back the possession of the mortgage property by paying the balance money, either in court or by paying the balance money to the mortgagee. This provision is there where the mortgagee is authorized to pay himself from such rents and profits or any part thereof, a part only of the mortgage money, from the profit or rent. When the mortgagee has been authorized to adjust the profit or rent partly to the principal or money and partly to the rent, the interest. In such case, when the term, if any, prescribed for the payment of the mortgage money has expired, the term for the payment of mortgage money has been expired, and the mortgagor pays or tenders to the mortgagee the mortgage money or the balance thereof, or deposit it in court. When the mortgagor pays the balance money to the mortgagee, after deduction of the mortgage principal money which has been adjusted from the rent, and also he may deposit the balance money either in court and may ask the mortgagee to deliver possession of the mortgage property to him, and also all the documents. This is a right of redemption which is available to a mortgagor in case of usurpated mortgage. Usurpated mortgage is nothing but only that the mortgagee will remain in possession till the mortgage money is paid, not paid. Once it is paid, this right, this mortgage, usurpated mortgage is extinguished, that is discharged. So in such case, that comes to an end, and thereby the mortgagee is no longer authorized to remain in possession. He would deliver possession of the mortgage property to the mortgagor. So in this context, you should remember that in the state of Odisha, when there is an usurpated mortgage and the mortgagee in possession of the mortgage property for 7 years or more, then irrespective of the fact, if any mortgage money is due, still it is due, then the mortgage is deemed to have been discharged. That will come to an end, and the mortgagee is bound to deliver possession of the mortgage property to the mortgagor. Now coming to provision of section 63, what it says? Accession to mortgage property. What is accession? Accession means addition made to any mortgage property. Sometimes there is a mortgage, if a mortgage property is under the possession of the mortgagee, suppose some addition is made by the mortgagee. Suppose there is a house. So there is some improvement is made, some addition is made to that house, which is required either for preserving that house or because of some compliance to some lawful order of the government, etc. In such case, what on redemption, whether the mortgagor is entitled to take that accession. accession or addition which has been made by the mortgagee. So this is provided in section 63. What? Where mortgage property in possession of the mortgagee. Mortgagee is in possession of the mortgage property and the mortgagee has during the continuance of the mortgage, when the mortgage is continuing, during the continuance of the mortgage, received any accession, this mortgage received any accession, then the mortgagor upon redemption shall in the absence of a contract to the contrary be entitled as against the mortgagee to such accession. If there is no contract to the contrary, then in such case the mortgagor is entitled for such accession. Suppose there may be an accession even without the expense of the mortgagee. For an example, that there is a piece of land which is situated by the side of the river. There is some accession, some increase of the extent of that land due to that alluvium, deposit of soil. So who will be entitled for that? The mortgagor is entitled for that piece of land on redemption. So this is accession to mortgage, where mortgage property is in possession of the mortgagee as during the continuance of the mortgagee received any accession. So what received that accession? The mortgagor upon redemption shall in the absence of a contract to the contrary be entitled as against the mortgagee to such accession. Then accession acquired in virtue of transport ownership. That means transport ownership means here by because of some expense made by the mortgagee if some accession has taken place. For an example, suppose by the side of the house which is mortgaged, and if that house is under the possession of the mortgagee, he has built another house, or he has made some this extension of that house, extension of a part of the room. So that is also accession. That is made at the expense of the mortgagee. So in such case, when the mortgagor redeems the mortgage property and gets back the mortgage property or gets back the possession of the mortgage property from the mortgagee, whether in such case the mortgagor is entitled to get such accession. This is answered in the second part of the section. What it says, where such access has been acquired at the expense of the mortgagee and is capable of separate possession or enjoyment without detriment to the principal property, then the mortgagor desiring to take the accession must pay to the mortgagee. When such accession is there, that accession can be separated, can be separable. That means can be separated. So in such case, if the mortgagor wants to take that accession, he will pay the cost, the value of that cost of that accession to the mortgagee. That means the mortgage what? The expense which are incurred for such accession. If such separate possession is not possible, suppose separate possession or this separation of that accession or enjoyment is not possible, the accession must be delivered with the property. In such case, that accession must be delivered with the mortgage property to the mortgagor on redemption. The mortgagor being liable in the case of an acquisition necessary to preserve the, sometimes some accession is required that to preserve the mortgage property. For an example, there is a house which is situated by the side of a drain, and some accession was made so that to prevent the collapse of that house. That is to preserve that mortgage property. If some accession has been made or that has been made at the expense of the mortgagee to preserve the property from destruction or forfeiture or sale. Suppose there is some due was there, government due was there, or for sale, to preserve that from sale, or made with his assent, or with the consent of the mortgagor, some accession has been made, then the mortgagor is bound to pay the proper cost thereof. In such case, the mortgagor is bound to pay the cost of such accession to the mortgagee at the time of redemption as an addition to the principal, with interest at the same rate as is payable on the principal. In the same rate as agreed, interest as agreed on the principal, at the same rate, the mortgagor will pay interest on the cost of that accession. Where no such rate is fixed, if no such rate is fixed in the original mortgage, at the rate of 9% per annum. So this is A law requires that when there is an accession, but that accession has been made at the expense of the mortgage. What for? For the preserving the mortgage property, or to prevent the mortgage property from sale, or for forfeiture, or with the assent of the mortgagor. In such case, on redemption, the mortgagor is bound to pay the cost of such accession, such addition, such accession to the mortgagee along with interest as agreed upon in the original mortgage. If no such interest, rate of interest is there at the rate of 9% per annum. Now, in the case last mentioned in the profits, if any arising from the accession shall be credited to the mortgagor. In the case so whatever profit has been derived because of succession, that will also be credited to the mortgagor. Now, where the mortgage is usufructuary and the accession has been acquired at the expense of the mortgage. Suppose the mortgage is an usufructuary mortgage. The profit or the rate derived from the mortgage profit will be adjusted either partly to the principal money or toward the principal money or to the rate or to the interest. So in such case, where the mortgage is usufructuary and the accession has been acquired at the expense of the mortgagee, the profits, if any, arising from the accession shall in the absence of a contract to the contrary be set up against interest. So if any accession has been made, that is to a property which is under the possession of the mortgagee under usufructuary mortgage, any profit which is derived from that accession, that will be in absence of a contract to the contrary, that will be adjusted towards the interest, if any, payable on the money so expended. That means whatever money has been paid by the mortgagee in making such accession, for payment of that money's interest towards the money, that will be adjusted. This is section 63. Now coming to the provision of section 63A, what it says? That improvement of mortgage property. You are aware, there is also a provision in case of, that is a general provision when there is an improvement, is unauthorized possession. That is different thing. But here, if a mortgagee remains in possession of the mortgage property as per law, as per the contract entered between the parties, in case like usufructuary or other mortgages. So here, when an improvement is made by the mortgagee to the mortgage property, where mortgage property in possession of the mortgagee, always when the mortgage property is in possession of the mortgagee, has during the continuance of the mortgage, always you should remember that improvement must be during the continuation of the mortgage. Once the mortgage has been discharged and the property has not been delivered possession, and thereafter some improvement, this section 63 will not be applicable. When the mortgagee is in possession of the mortgage property and during the continuation of the mortgage, makes of improvement, the mortgagor upon redemption shall in the absence of a contract to the contrary. In such case, the mortgagor in absence of it be entitled to the improvement. Who will be entitled? When the mortgagee is in possession of the mortgage property and during continuation of the mortgage makes any improvement to the mortgage property, then in such case, the mortgagor on redemption shall be entitled to that improvement and be entitled, and the mortgagor shall not, save only in case provided for in subsection 2, be liable to pay the cost thereof. Only in case of 2, that as per, what is that? Subsection 2, where any such improvement was effected at the cost of mortgagee and was necessary to preserve the property from destruction. Suppose that improvement was made by the mortgagee to preserve the mortgage property from destruction or deterioration, or was necessary to prevent the security from becoming insufficient. That means, suppose if that improvement will not be made, the building will collapse or the property will be destroyed. In such event, that value of the property will be insufficient as security for payment of the debt. In such case, if the mortgagee has made an improvement or was made in compliance with the lawful order of any public servant or public authority, suppose a public servant, municipality authority directed to make such construction or to make some construction, etc., to preserve the mortgage property or to comply the lawful authority of the government or any public servant, then the mortgagor shall, in the absence of a contract to the contrary, then in such case, the mortgagor, if there is no contract to the contrary, be liable to pay the proper cost thereof. But previously, so when the mortgagee is in possession of the mortgage property and during continuation of the mortgage makes an improvement to the mortgage property, not required by any public servant, not required by the order of any public authority, not required for the preservation of the mortgage property, or not required to prevent the destruction of the property. In such case, on redemption, the mortgagor is not liable to pay the cost of such improvement to the mortgagee. But when such improvement has been made by the mortgagee to preserve the mortgage property from destruction or for deterioration of the mortgage property or as per the lawful direction of some authority or public servant, or then on such redemption, the mortgagor shall pay the cost of that improvement to the mortgagee to the principal money with interest, proper cost thereof, in addition to the principal money with interest at the same rate as is payable on the principal. So as on the same rate as payable on the principal, where no such rate of interest is fixed at the rate of 9% per annum, and the profits, if any accruing by reason of the improvement, shall be credited to the mortgagor. That profit will be credited to the mortgagor. So this is section 60. In nutshell, when there is an improvement of the mortgage property by the mortgagee who is in possession of the mortgage property, if there is no contract to the contrary, then during continuance of the mortgage, if some improvement has been made, then on redemption, the mortgagor is not liable to pay cost of such improvement. But when such improvement has been made to prevent that mortgage property from destruction, deterioration, or in lawful to comply in compliance of the lawful order of any public authority or any other public officer, then or in such case, then the mortgagor is liable to pay the cost of such improvement in addition to the principal amount along with interest as agreed upon in the mortgage. If no such interest is agreed upon, then at the rate of 9% per annum. This is section 63A. Now, let us discuss the provisions of section 64. What is 64 says? Renewal of mortgage lease. Suppose where the mortgage property is a lease and the mortgagee obtains a renewal of the lease. Suppose mortgage property is a lease and the mortgagee is in possession, he obtains renewal of the lease. So in such case, the mortgagor upon redemption, when that redemption takes place, shall in the absence of a contract by him to the contrary, have the benefit of the new lease. The best example is, suppose in CDA, all the properties are given on lease. If a person mortgagee property has been mortgaged to the bank and the bank obtains the renewal of the lease, in such case, on redemption, the mortgagor is entitled to get the benefit of that lease. That is section 64. We have the benefit of the new lease. That is now section 65. What is that? Implied contracts by the mortgagor. Implied contracts by the mortgagor. You are aware how a mortgage is made. So that is section 59 provides how a mortgage is made. So when mortgage takes place, mortgage is the transfer of an interest in a specific immovable property as security for payment of debt. So when a mortgage is made, there is some implied contract between the mortgagor and the mortgagee. These are found in section 65. In the absence of a contract to the contrary, always in all these sections you find, in absence of a contract to the contrary. That means the parties may agree that for any terms and conditions by defeating this provision. That is, in absence of a contract to the contrary, the mortgagor shall be deemed to contract with the mortgagee. There is a deemed contract between the mortgagor and mortgagee. First, that the interest which the mortgagor professes to transfer to the mortgagee subsists. What is interest? Because the transfer by interest, with the interest which he professes to transfer on mortgage, that subsisted with the mortgagor. That means the mortgagor had a transferable right in the mortgage property to create a mortgage. That the interest which the mortgagor professes to transfer on such mortgage subsists, and that the mortgagor has power to transfer the same. Not only the interest subsists, but he has transferable interest. That he has power to transfer the same. First implied condition is that in absence of a contract to the contrary, when there is a mortgage, there is an implied contract that the mortgagor, what interest he professes to transfer in the mortgage, that interest subsists, and the mortgagor had a transferable right. That means, and that the mortgagor has power to transfer such interest, transfer the same. Second, that the mortgagor will defend, or if the mortgagee is in possession of the mortgage property, enable him to defend the mortgagor's title thereto. When there is a mortgage, there is implied contract that the mortgagor will defend in case any suit is filed against, or that is questioning his title to the mortgage. He will defend his title to the mortgage property, or will enable the mortgagee, when the mortgagee in possession of the mortgage property, to defend his title to the mortgage property. Third, that the mortgagor will, so long as the mortgagee is not in possession of the mortgage property, pay all public charges accruing due in respect of the property. If the mortgagee is not in possession of the mortgage property, there is an implied contract that the mortgagor will pay all the public charges, all the public revenue which is to be leviable from that mortgage property to the concerned authority. Now, D. And where the mortgage property is a lease, suppose the mortgage property is a lease, there is an implied contract between the mortgagor and the mortgagee that the rent payable under the lease, the conditions contained therein, and the contracts binding on the lessee contained therein, and the contracts binding on the lessee have been paid, performed, and observed down to the commencement of the mortgage. When suppose a lease property, somebody has obtained a property on lease and he has mortgaged that property. In such case, that there is a complied contract that the rent payable under the lease, the condition contained therein, and the contracts binding on the lessee have been paid, performed, and observed out to the commencement of the mortgage. By the date of mortgage, all the rents have been paid, all the conditions of the lease have been complied by the lessee who has mortgaged, who have become mortgagor, and that the mortgagor will, so long as the security exists and the mortgage is not in possession of the mortgage property. If the mortgagor is in possession, then the mortgagor will pay the rent reserved by the lease. If any rent is to be paid, that is to be paid. Or if the lease be renewed, if a lease is renewed, the renewed lease, perform the condition contained therein. If a lease is renewed, the mortgagor being a lessor being a lessee, will perform the condition of that lease and observe the contracts binding on the lessee and indemnify the mortgagee against all claims sustained by reason of the non-payment of the said rent. There is also implied contract. When a property has been obtained by lease and the lessee has mortgaged that property, there is an implied contract that the mortgagor will indemnify for any claim which will be made by the lessor in respect of that property or the non-performance or non-observance of the said condition and contracts. This is now E. And where the mortgagee is a second or subsequent encumbrance. There may be a mortgage where the mortgagee is a second mortgage. First, a property has been mortgaged to one person. Thereafter, it was mortgaged to another person. There is an implied contract between the mortgagor and the second mortgagee that the mortgagor will pay the interest of the first mortgage in time, and you will also pay the principal money. That is an implied contract. So, and unless there is a contract to the contract, and where the mortgage is a second or subsequent encumbrance on the property, that the mortgagor will pay the interest from time to time accruing due on such prior encumbrance. The mortgagor will pay the interest of the prior mortgages as and when it becomes due, and will at the proper time discharge the principal, and also you will pay the principal money of the previous mortgage on such prior encumbrance. The benefit of the contracts mentioned in this section shall be annexed to and shall go with the interest of the mortgagee as such. This benefit, this implied contract, the benefit of this implied contract shall go not only to the mortgagee but to any person to whom his interest is assigned, that is his successors in interest. That it says, the benefit of these contracts mentioned in this section shall be annexed to and shall go with the interest of the mortgagee as such, and may be enforced by every person in whom that interest is for the whole or any part thereof from time to time. That means this benefit is not is not only confined to the mortgagee, but this benefit, mortgagees, legal heirs, or any other person to whom the mortgagee assigns his interest, that he can also that enforce this benefit. This is section 64. Now, this is 65. We discuss the provision section 65. Then section 65A, mortgagor's power to lease. Subject to provisions of subsection 2, a mortgagor, while lawful in possession of the mortgage property, shall have power to make lease. If a mortgagor is in lawful possession of the mortgage property, he can make lease of the mortgage property, and that thereof we shall be binding on the mortgage. If a mortgagor is in possession of the mortgage property, he makes a lease, then such lease is binding on the mortgagee unless there is a contract on the contrary. But there are some restrictions for making such lease. What are those restrictions? It provides every such lease shall be such as would be made in the ordinary course of management of the property. First, when the mortgagor is in possession of the mortgage property, if there is no contract to the contrary, he can make a lease of that property in the ordinary course of management of that property. Suppose there is a house, there is a market complex. That market complex has been mortgaged to the bank for say for 30 lakh rupees. And one person was in the entire market complex had been given on rent. Suppose somebody left, one of the shopkeeper vacated the house. So in such case, the mortgagor can make lease, fresh lease. This power is available, subject to a contract to the contrary. When the mortgagee is not in possession of the mortgage property, in such case, the mortgagor can make lease of that property which is required, which is made in the ordinary course of management of the property concerned, and in accordance with any local customary uses. That is, in ordinary management of that property, or according to local law or custom. Second, every such lease shall reserve the best rent that can reasonably obtain. So, when mortgagor makes lease of that property, in the ordinary management of that property, every such lease should be made reserving the best rent which can be obtained, and no premium shall be paid or promised, and no rent shall be payable in advance. There is restriction. You should remember. What is premium? What is premium? In a lease, when any money is paid in lump sum, that is called premium. Any periodical payment is called rent. When such lease is made by the mortgagor in respect of the mortgage property, then no premium will be received by him. No advance, money in advance, that is, can be received premium, but there may be rent may be paid. So third, no rent shall be payable in advance. No rent shall be payable in advance means, suppose in under 3 years rent is paid in advance. No, that restriction is there. No premium will be received by the mortgagor. No rent will be received by the mortgagor in advance. Third, no such lease shall contain a covenant for renewal. Once a lease is there, that will not contain an agreement for renewal. Every such lease shall take effect from a date not later than 6 months from the date on which it is made. So within 6 months from the date of contract, that will take effect. In the case of a lease of building, whether leased or without the land on which they stand, in case of the property is a building, when that lease is made, either building or with or land, then the duration of the lease shall in no case exceed 3 years. When the mortgagor makes a lease in respect of the mortgage property, in ordinary management, ordinary course of management of the property, and if that mortgage property is a building, so in such case, the lease period must not exceed 3 years. And the lease shall contain a covenant for payment of the rent and a condition for re-entry on the rent not being paid within a time therein specified. So in the lease agreement, it must be mentioned specifically that in the event of failure of payment of rent, that the mortgagor can re-enter. Now, the provision of subsection 1 apply only if and so far as a contrary intention is not expressed in the mortgage deed. If a contrary intention is mentioned in the mortgage deed, then this provision will not apply, because in absence of a contract to the contrary in the mortgage deed. And the provision of subsection 2 may be varied or extended by the mortgage deed, and so as to varied and extended shall so far as may be operate in like manner and with all like incident, effects and consequences, as if such variation extension were contained in that subsection. This is in provision section 65A. Now 66, waste by mortgagor in possession. A mortgagor in possession of the mortgage property is not liable to the mortgagee for allowing the property to deteriorate. Suppose the mortgagor is in possession of the mortgage property. He allows the mortgage property to be wasted, deteriorated. Whether for that he is liable to the mortgagee. This section 66 provides a mortgagor in possession of the mortgage property is not liable to the mortgagee for allowing the property to deteriorate, but he must not commit any act which is destructive or permanently injurious there. But he is not liable for the destruction, deterioration, etc. But he must not commit any act. But when because of third person's intervention, because of fraud, etc., some property is destroyed, etc., deteriorated, he is not liable. But he must not commit any act which is destructive or permanently injurious thereto. But he must not knowingly commit any act which is destructive or which is injurious permanently property. If the security is insufficient or will be rendered insufficient by such act, that he cannot make some destruction or deterioration by his own act which will make the mortgage property insufficient as security for payment of the mortgage money. Explanation provides a security is insufficient within the meaning of this section unless the value of the mortgage property exceeds by one third. So if one third in case of land, one third suppose 3,000 rupees, the value of the security must be 3,000, 4,000 rupees. One third of the value, if it consisting of belief exceed one half, that is a value of this building, that the value of the property, in spite of deterioration or destruction, must exceed one half of the security, the principal money, the amount for the time being due on the mortgage. On the particular day, how much amount was due, that the security will become insufficient. If the value of that property will fall less than that, that remains the principal money which is due by one half. This is in provision in section 60. What it says? A security is insufficient within the meaning of this section unless the value of the mortgage property exceeds by one third, or if consisting of building exceeds by one half the amount for the time being due on the mortgage. This is in section 66. We cover up to section 66, so that in the next class we'll discuss a new chapter, a provision regarding the rights and liability of the mortgagee. So thank you all. Let us conclude.